All right, Nate, what's up, dude? Welcome to the pod. Thanks for being on it, dude.
I'm having deja vu right now.
It's almost like we just filmed this clip.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. So at the beginning of every episode with the guests I have, I always want to pay them flowers. I already complimented this guy, inflated his head a little bit, but we got to do it again.
You can tell me again, yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell me as many times as you want.
All right, great. Nate has been somebody that I've looked up to throughout the years. We've known each other for like 9 years, and he's often somebody that I use as an example for people that I do look to because his work ethic is so high. Like his work ethic is great. He opened this gym, Commotion Fitness. If you come to Milwaukee, check it out. And aside from that, he does trading. We'll get into the Airbnb thing, but we just recently talked on the phone. He told me the number of Airbnbs he has, and I was like, holy shit, this dude doesn't stop. And then on top of that, he's always posting at like 2 a.m. on Instagram. And I'm like, he doesn't sleep either. He's just a super hard worker. He's somebody that I look up to, and I'm really, really happy to have him as a buddy. So good job, dude.
Thank you.
Good job in life, man. You're
I
succeeding.
look up to you too. Same reasons.
Because I'm taller than you?
I don't think you're taller than me.
Nah, I'm not taller than you, but I appreciate it, bro.
It's rare to find people that have the same mindset and work ethic and like have the same beliefs and things.
Yeah,
So it's cool that we know each other for that reason.
absolutely. Go ahead, dude.
Oh.
You're good. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting to see the types of people that like say that they have the mindset or say that they have the goals and like execute or don't execute too, right? And you're definitely an executor. So Nate and I have known each other for like 9 years. He worked at the Shorewood Fitness Center. Why don't you can tell them a little bit about what you did there.
Yeah. Well, I started as a trainer there, personal training people. And I think that's how we crossed paths because you were training at the time. We talked about how you were a trainer, but not at the gym, but training someone at the gym as a non-trainer trainer.
Yeah.
And that's how we met each other and we started talking to each other. And
Yeah.
I feel like we've had similar paths with just like going off on our own and trying to make our own path for ourselves rather than working for somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually remember like the specific day when we like reconnected and you told me to come check out your gym. It was like Brady Street Jimmy John's at like 3 a.m. And we were both out for a night of drinking. And well, maybe you weren't because I don't really know about your like habits with drinking and stuff, but I was definitely loaded that night. And we like, it was like one of those things where you like look at each other and you're like, wait, no. And then we started talking again. I was like, dude, what's up? And you're like, we got to talking and you're like, I just opened this gym downtown. You got to come check it out. And then eventually I did come check it out. And then from there we started doing like content and stuff together. I did a couple like ads for you or whatever. But I want to get into to start at least because I agree with you. We both kind of follow this path of like we haven't wanted to work for anybody. And we've been working for ourselves. I think, how long have you been self-employed?
Let's see. So the gym's been open. We're coming up on 7 years. And I was self-employed a full year before that. So I guess 8 years now.
What were you doing before that?
Well, just personal training, but I was going to people's houses, doing house training. So yeah, pretty much that for like a full year. And I guess I was technically teaching jujitsu at the time too.
Okay.
But I was doing it as more of like a payment for rent. So I could train out of the gym
Sure.
to get extra clients on top of the people I was doing at the houses too.
Sweet. Yeah. So I want to jump into like the inception of like your whole, the start, dude. Like, I feel like, at least this is what it is for me and some other people that I've talked to so far is like, I feel like, people who want to be the entrepreneur or they want to like accomplish great things, they've kind of always had like a voice in their head telling them like that, like they need to do more, or there's like a different path for them. They feel special somehow. Growing up, like what was it like for you? Did you have like a career path that you were going to take? I know that you did music and stuff like that. And that's something that we have similar. And that's actually part of the reason why I think we're both in the mindset that we're in. Because it was outside of the norm, right? It was outside of something. We wanted a career path that was different.
Yeah.
Right. But how did it all kind of start for you? When did you get the mindset of wanting to be an individual doing your own thing?
Yeah. I mean, so I thought that wanting to own your own business was normal. I didn't know this was different.
Yeah.
I thought everybody wanted to do this because especially when I was working at that gym, it's like I have 30 people in my class And I realized each person is paying $10 and I'm crunching the numbers. I'm like, okay, they're making $300 out this class. I'm getting paid $15. Like, what's wrong with this picture here? So to me, it's just logic that I want to go off on my own.
Right.
Why would I give like most of my money to someone else when I can crunch the numbers, see how much money they're making, and know that I can do the same thing? So logistically, it just seemed to make more sense. But yeah, like even as a little kid, like I always knew I wanted to have my own business. I did like the business clubs in high school.
Nice.
And like, yeah, I always knew that part. So I guess that was just something that was inherent.
Yeah.
But I've never thought about like, what do you think with like music that?
I think that so people who are like creative, right?
Okay.
I think there's something
Thinking outside the box.
Exactly. Yeah. They like, and I think that most people who are musicians that like without really thinking about it, they're trying to be their own boss, right? Like they're trying to do something that's like you said, like they're thinking out of the box. They're not trying to like go wear a suit for the whole day and like go to an office. Like if they could, I think every musician would go and tour the world, play music. And at the end of the day, I think that that's like kind of an inherent quality of people who just are creative, like photographers, videographers, musicians. They just want to do something different. They don't want to be cooped up all day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I actually, like for the majority of musicians that I know, they've all at least tried an entrepreneurial like endeavor. It doesn't always work out because I think there's also that with like artists is like they're not necessarily the most smart monetarily, or they can't logistically put things together. Admittedly so for me too. I'm not always the best logistically, but yeah, I think that has something to do with artistic nature. But yeah. So after getting into the fitness at Shorewood Fitness Center and then training people for a year, being employed by yourself, what like kind of made the inception of the gym?
Well, I was trying different avenues for different businesses, like little like side hustles and stuff. And I think I just didn't have the courage to open up a gym, but it took talking to a friend one night who was extremely drunk. And I was telling him all the things that I was interested in and what I should like kind of do with my life. He's like, Nate, you need to open a gym. Like everything you're telling me, it aligns with opening a gym. So I like agreed with him. I was like, yeah. And I think I just made my mind up that that's what I wanted to do. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. I trained a guy who was really good in business. So he kind of helped me along and mentored me a little bit. But it was like through trying to discover that I had the opportunity to actually buy into the place that we're at now, which I've eventually bought out my partner. So it's fully mine now. But I think once I started pursuing that goal, that's when those other like little opportunities popped up, and that's how I fell into it.
So what was like, you mentioned courage. What was like the limiting belief inside of you that like didn't let you take that leap originally?
That's a good question. I think you always think that this is true, that you never know what you don't know until you know it. But you always think that you need to know more than you do when you jump into things. Yeah. That makes sense. I feel like that was like
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like you have to, I tell Heather all the time, I'm like, you can never do business. Like you always think there's going to be that perfect moment.
Correct.
But there's not. You have to jump in. And when you jump in, things just somehow work out and they figure themselves out.
Yes.
But it's because you're forced into that pattern, right? Like you're forced into the habits that you have to be a business owner to make things happen.
Correct. Yeah.
You know? So then with the gym, how old are you when you open the gym? Or well, not when
30.
you open it, when you buy in?
Yeah, 30.
Okay. What would you say, like, when you buy in, like, obviously it's probably a big chunk of change. What are like some of the sacrifices that you have to make at this point in your life to make sure that, or to ensure that you do business well and that you like succeed with the goals that you have? And do you have any other goals aside from the gym, like outside of the gym at this time?
Like right now?
No.
At that time. Yeah. No. I was just so pumped on being a gym owner. But the thing is like, I think you don't necessarily need to sacrifice a lot, but it's like this is like the pure thing with business too. Like what you put into it, like that's what you get out. So I think a lot of people don't make the sacrifices, and I'm sure everyone's heard the stat, like 90% of businesses fail.
Yeah.
And that's why, is just because they're not so But yeah, I was willing to make, like, I would have done literally anything to make it work. So, waking up at 5 in the morning, getting home late at night and, not sleeping, spending all of my time just pursuing that and making it work. Like, I would have done anything to make it work. And, I was acquiring the knowledge at the time to learn as I go along. Um, so I think I was willing to make this. I don't think you necessarily, there's some, otherwise it's going to close. So it's just like what you're willing to put into it. That's the cool thing about business. The more you put in, the more you get out. It's just pure and simple like that.
Yeah. So we just had a talk with one of my friends, Kelly Benfee. She's like a CrossFit Games athlete now. She finally made it to the CrossFit Games. And I was talking to her, and this like really struck me because the whole like premise of this podcast is to talk about we get to see the glitz and the glam of like, you own a gym and you have the Airbnbs or whatever, and I own a gym, and you get to see the glitz and glam of it, but people don't really talk about the sacrifices or the pain like moments that like it takes to get there. One thing that she said though that like really hit me, where I'm like, oh my God, I might have to rework the whole idea of this podcast, was like, she's like, I don't feel like I'm making sacrifices. Like, I just feel like I'm doing what I have to do, like, so for example, she doesn't like go out and drink anymore or whatever, but like, she doesn't feel like she's sacrificing going out to drinking. She's like, it's just a different part of my life that I no longer do.
Yeah. No, I resonate with that. Yeah. I don't feel like I did anything I didn't want to do. Like, I wanted to do that. Like I said, wake up at 5 in the morning and go to bed late at night. So I guess like thinking about like that, I was sacrificing other areas of my life that maybe I wanted to be good at, but it wasn't something I was like, there's always like little things that you force yourself to do, but the general overall process, it was like what I wanted.
Yeah. So it doesn't really seem so much like sacrifice.
Yeah. So I guess just a different perspective on it.
Yeah, dude, I'm starting to like think now because I'm like, because then we even talked about it on the ride here where I'm like, I don't drink anymore. I don't like really hang out with friends anymore, but like, or at least not often. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm missing out. I just feel like, that part of me is like behind me now. You resonate with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's making me think now too. Like if people because I look at my friends who are the best at what they do that I know, and it doesn't seem like they like force themselves necessarily to do a lot. They're just so overly obsessed with it that's just them. Like that's just part of them.
It's like autopilot,
right?
They're just going. And so I have this thing too where I talk about, and I even said it in the last podcast, where I'm like, I think that there are people who like, they like passively want things. They don't like really, like they would like to have these things. They don't actually want it. You know what I mean? Because when you want something, I think that in this, Kelly just made me like rethink the whole thing. And like my mind is like going crazy thinking about this. Even like she wants that thing so bad, right? We want these things so bad that, nothing seems like a sacrifice because it's part of our journey that we want, right? Like, I don't know. The people who just like passively want things or just like would like things, they would look at it as a sacrifice because they don't truly want it. It's not in their heart that they want it.
Yeah. They're probably just lying to themselves about what they really want.
Yeah.
It's not, it'd be nice to look better, but what they truly care about is sitting at home and watching TV.
Yeah.
So they're just lying to themselves that what their priorities are.
Right.
In other words.
Yeah. And it's okay too to not want,
yeah, absolutely.
Like,
I think there's a big thing that's changed over the years is just like judging people on what they want. Like, I really don't care. Like, do whatever like truly makes you happy. And, I think I've stopped been projecting like what I feel is important on other people. Yeah. And I just, accept them for what they do. And that makes you happy. Good for you.
Yeah, totally. So, okay. So then you get into the gym business. And then I remember having a conversation with you where you were talking about, this is like a couple years into you having the gym. And you're like, dude, I'm just trying to get this house. I'm trying to take this loan, whatever. And eventually you do get the loan and you do get the house. And now, from what you told me, it's probably like 100 more. But a few weeks ago, we talked on the phone and you're like, I have 7 Airbnbs. And now how many do you have today?
Yeah, 7.
7?
Yeah.
How did you go from gym owner to trying to get your first house to like, now you have 7 rental properties?
Yeah. So I was all in on the gym, like 100% up until COVID started. And I had my business coach. Do you know Alex Hormozi? So he's like blowing up now, which is cool. But he was my business coach. So I got to talk to him every single day.
Yeah.
And like,
oh, you got to talk to him every day?
Yeah, I got to talk to him every single day at noon.
Nice.
I got to meet him and Layla several times, and so everything he like talks about is like drilled into my brain.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool that I had that opportunity.
Hell yeah.
But he was always, his thing was always go all in on one thing, do it as long as you can, do the boring work, repeat it over and over and over again. But that's like, it kind of fucked me when COVID, can we say fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do all the swearing.
But when COVID started, that was all I had. And I had, it was tough because every day somebody would quit the gym. So if I put all my eggs into that basket, and I had this gym and I had another gym too, a kickboxing gym.
I remember.
So that was, all my business. I was definitely like very invested in both places. Had a lot of money put into both places, and I had a lot of money coming in. But as soon as you cut that off, it starts getting really hairy pretty quickly.
Yeah.
When you don't have that income coming in and you have like pretty big bills for rent and like utilities that didn't stop. So,
and you had employees too, right?
Yeah. I had employees I had to pay. Like advertising, marketing expenses. So that's like that was like my first thought of like trying to invest into other things, just so I couldn't ever be in that situation again, that if the gym were to shut down, like I'd be fine. So like I tried doing like more like the online training, which I was doing a little bit before. But I got really lucky that I withdrew my 401k. I put it all in the stock market after it crashed.
No.
And then when it started blowing up, I like took it back out, because that was at the time like you didn't get fined for taking out your 401k. Okay. So I took that money, and I had like some like Bitcoin that like blew up too. So I took that money out and I used that as a deposit as a house. And I figured at the time, like I could make some monthly cash flow, like doing Airbnbs. So that was a 3-unit that I started with.
Yeah.
And I had a couple tenants in there, and one of them moved out right away. So I did Airbnb. And when the other tenants moved out, I started doing those as Airbnb too. And the first one was really successful, especially at that time with COVID still going on and like things kind of opening back up. Airbnbs were like really popular. So I just kind of hit it timing wise good. And then that's when I started, after I realized it worked, I started doing it with other places.
So you have 7 of them now?
Yeah.
All here in Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's like, is that like the business that you feel like you're going to focus on now? Like that's the thing you want to do?
No.
Yeah.
So, and then at the same time I had gotten into trading.
Yeah.
Which I did an internship in college, just because we had to pick a job that we would intern on somebody we wanted to work for. And I knew I didn't want to work for anybody. So I was like, well, what should I do? And the professor was like, I don't care, kid, just pick something, like leave me alone, so, yeah. And I was always kind of interested in stock trading. And I was like, well, maybe I could work for like a firm or something.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll check it out. I'll do my internship for that. So I did an internship, and I followed around this like stockbroker guy that did trading and stuff. And that was my first introduction to it.
Sure.
I always thought it was super cool, but like going back to Alex, he's like, don't focus on anything else. So you're just taking attention away from what you're doing. So I was all in the gym. There's a few times where I kind of strayed away, almost got sucked into an MLM, doing like Forex stuff. This was before what's his face too. So somebody else. But I was always interested in it. And then when COVID started, I just looked at it as like another opportunity to like try to be good at it, because I was interested in it. And I was like, well, it's fun for me to learn, but with that, it's like something I can do that has unlimited potential to scale.
Yeah.
Super frustrating when you first start. Very hard to do, psychologically mainly. But all it is clicking a button, and the more money you have, the more you can make. It's like, and you can do it from anywhere in the world. There's like very like little businesses that don't rely on other people, that don't rely on sales, that you can like scale infinitely to make money.
Yeah. I remember we shot like an ad, but like you told, or maybe we were doing, I don't know, whatever. We were going to make a video together. And then you were like, I got to do this trade. I have like 10 minutes to do this trade. And you were like freaking out. And I'm like, I didn't know anything about this stock shit. Like, cause like COVID, everyone got onto Robinhood and all that stuff, it just was the thing. And then you were like, I gotta make this trade, blah, blah. And then like, so I finally get here and you're like, dude, we have to stay here for a little bit. I'm sorry. We stayed for like 10 minutes. And then I remember, I don't want to say the amount of cash, but it was a significant amount of cash. And you were like, you're like, I could lose this all or I could double it. You know what I
It's
mean?
so stupid looking back at it.
And I was like, oh my fucking God. I'm like, dude, please don't do it. I was thinking that. But like, I trust your judgment and I think you're a smart guy. And you hit the enter button. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, I was nervous for you. You didn't lose the cash, which was good, right? I don't think you lost it. No, you didn't lose it.
Luckily.
I think you actually made some money. And then I was like, holy shit, dude, that quick is how that stuff works. Like,
Yeah.
I was mind blown, dude.
Yeah. My approach is way more conservative than it was back then. It was just like, good, like make a ton of money, lose a lot of money, make a ton of money, lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I think I got, because I started with crypto first. So I got really lucky that I started in a time where they call it a bull market, where the market's just going in one direction.
Sure.
Which makes it really easy to trade, but it gives you a false perception that you're better at than you are. So and I've like since transferred to doing like indices and Forex, which is a lot. It's just like a little bit different. It actually takes some skill to be good at. So
okay. Yeah. And see, I know nothing about any of that. So I wouldn't even know where to start. That's cool though. It's cool because you got your hands in like a whole bunch of different stuff. And it seems like you're like you can speak the language for all those things too, you know, like you have the Airbnbs, the real estate, the gym, you're obviously well versed in fitness, and then now also trading. That's super cool. I'm hitting a brain fart. There was something I was going to ask you. Oh, going back to Alex, let's talk about that a little bit, because it's like I feel like there's mysticism around him right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's just like this mysterious dude that's like, he's super stoic online. Like people are kind of confused by him. What was like your experience with him and Layla?
Like hands down the smartest people I've ever met in real life.
Yeah.
And I've gone out of my way to seek out different mentors, like go to like different business conferences. And the guy, I don't know how, like, I want to ask him how he became so much smarter than everyone else. Like, I don't know, like maybe it's just, I feel like he exposes himself to so many people and that just like snow piles on being, I think that's just like the secret is the more people, you know, and like, you know, he says he like reads and just like his brain is probably a trap too.
Yeah.
But like I talk to other people, you ask them a question, they'll be like, I think you should do this. You ask him a question, he'll be like, well, this data says that, you know, 98% of this shows this and 33% of this is that. And you should do this because the data shows that. That's the numbers, you do that. You know,
yeah,
I've got 3,000 examples of like what you should do in this example. It doesn't matter what you ask him. That's like how he'll answer it.
He's got an answer.
It's just very matter of fact data. Here's the data, do that.
That's what it's like. I was telling Heather this the other day. I was like, the reason why, like part of the reason why I like Alex so much, like consuming his content, is because like he actually takes a look at like statistics and research and stuff. And he's not just like, he obviously has a lot of anecdotal experience, but like he also backs it up with real numbers, real science. He reads a lot, at least, which I don't even know how this guy has the time to read a book. Like, you know, like I'm like, you're just so busy. How do you even do that? You know? What was the experience like of getting coached by him? So you said you talked to him at noon every day. How long did you get to talk to him? Like,
I mean, he'd be on for an hour every day. It was just like a Zoom call or whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd listen in, like ask questions. You could ask him whatever you want. So it's cool. You just have a conversation, whatever's coming up, whatever problems you're going through.
Yeah.
You just ask him and he'll answer it.
And you felt like it was like really worth the investment to do that?
Yeah.
How important do you think mentorship is when you do this, when you're an entrepreneur?
I think it's really, it's a shortcut, you know. I think you could probably figure out everything eventually yourself just by trial and error. But if you want to speed things up, I think if you find a good mentor, you're just going to shortcut yourself. But with that being said, I've also had a lot of really bad experience with mentors too. So I'm like, I feel like I've been like, I wouldn't say ripped off, but just like, it wasn't worth the money.
Okay.
Like I probably took something away. So I don't know, like knowledge is something that, and again, Alex says this too, it's something that nobody can take from you. It's something that you can always invest in. It's always gonna give you a return. You know, everything could be, the gym could be knocked out today. And everything I know in my head, I'm 100% confident I can get back to where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Because I already know what to do. And that's the most important thing than like the physical. and
Sure.
like nobody could ever steal it. So that's like your best investment is like learning the skill set behind it.
Sure. So going off of that, that's something that my mom always told me was like, she always wanted me to get like a degree, right? Because she was, this is something that nobody can ever take from you, except it's just thousands and thousands of dollars, right? So I never got my degree. I did like 3-ish years of school, something like that. If I went back now, I could get a philosophy degree if I got like 12 more credits or something. But that's useless. You got a degree, right?
Yeah, I wish I didn't. It's so stupid.
So since you've like been on the journey and you said that you have kind of known always that you wanted to work for yourself, right?
Yeah.
What pushed you into the education path? Like, why did you actually follow through with doing that?
There was a point that I was super broke. I think I was 22 at the time. I was like in transition like of doing music stuff, and it just hadn't worked out. Not because like other bandmates had quit. So my band that I was in fell apart. Couldn't find a new band to be in, and I was delivering sandwiches. I was making like $14 an hour, and I just felt like no matter how much I worked, I could not catch up on bills.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have good guidance at the time. Like I thought my only solution was going back to school and getting a degree. Like that was the only way I saw that I could get out of what I was in. So I made that commitment at the time, but I wish I would have had better guidance to do something else. Like I could do everything that I'm doing now without a degree, and I would have saved $50,000.
What was your degree in again? Kinesiology?
No, kinesiology and business.
Okay.
My major is in business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like that helped you out at all with what you're doing?
No.
No?
No.
Why not?
It's just so generic. Like there may be like little bits and pieces, but it's a very generic approach to a lot of stuff that you don't need. I think you should narrow down on whatever the skill is that's holding you back and focus in on how to learn that. There's something that's like bottlenecking everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just like keep asking, like digging those questions, like figuring out what exactly that is, and then finding the person that can solve that one problem. As opposed to taking a generic approach to 99% of the stuff you don't need. Like find that 1% that you do need to push you forward.
Yeah, sure. I guess, do you think that is like more so just if somebody wants to be an entrepreneur, or if they're like also trying to work for somebody, like get in the workforce, or do you think it's just like
I think for everybody.
Yeah.
Like let's say somebody like willing to get out of that wants to get into shape.
Yeah.
I know this doesn't apply to like business, but what is it that's holding them back from getting into shape? Like maybe they don't show up or they're too busy or something. So that can be traced back to time management.
Yeah.
There's somebody out there that's really good with time management that they could pay to teach them how to manage their time better. And that's what they should invest in if that's what they want.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or business too. Like it could be, at one point for me, it was like trying to hire the right people. And while I got lucky that I like had the right people like come into my life, I'm sure there's somebody I could hire that would teach me how to hire people. Yeah, so it's just like where are you stuck right now?
Yeah.
You could ask that for like literally any position you're in. There's something that's keeping you stuck, and there's somebody that knows the answer to it. So it's just like finding them and paying them.
How do you feel? Yeah. So how do you feel like you discern who's the right person in that?
I mean, that's the hard part about it is that there's so many people that think they know that are just idiots or delusional or like have a big mouth that like, so, but like with Alex, I listened to his podcast, I read his book, and I realized that I was making more progress taking his advice than I was to the person I was actually like paying.
And it was like free advice.
Yeah, free advice.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're a business too, you could reverse engineer that and give out free advice. And when people realize that's like legit, that's the best way to attract as well.
He says that. Sorry, we have audience commentary. He says what?
He always says that free. I send you those
Yeah.
give, and eventually
Which,
we'll see how valuable.
All right, what were you gonna say? When you what?
when I first started with Alex too, he was against personal branding, and he said there's no point in like putting out, like doing like your, like putting out free stuff. Well, not you shouldn't do that, but he was all about paid ads, and then he realized that he blew up from personal branding, so now he is like all for it. So there's like something that he's like involved in over the years.
Yeah,
that's like really like wow, he's like so popular now, is he like constantly put out content that would help people.
Yeah,
and then that like transitioned into him making money, and that he like realized that later on.
That like actually seems to be the majority of his videos now too, is branding. Like
Yeah.
he talks about why
It's
your
all
personal
branding.
brand is
Yeah.
so important. And yeah, I remember him actually talking, like doing a video about like, I did not like the personal brand thing at all. And then he like,
No, he
what
was
you
all
just said.
paid ads when he first started.
That's
Just
crazy.
pay for marketing.
Yeah.
Like don't do it yourself. But yeah, now it's all like branding.
But but also his shit works, right? Like I couldn't, like, if I was just gonna give out free advice for like how to start a construction business the right way or whatever, it probably wouldn't take off the same way. But he's also like a total anomaly. How much do you think that your business like improved because of the mentorship from him?
Numbers wise, I at least doubled where I was at the time.
Really?
And I had another like really great coach before that too that was able to, but it was I learned the basics from him, like basic sales, basic marketing,
Mhm.
and that like tripled my business. And then when I was with Alex, it like, I was already at like a higher level for like the gym business anyways. But that, I was able to open my second location, which we did, so one was fitness, one was kickboxing.
Yep.
But I was able to open a second gym and, yeah, I was doing really well. But honestly, like the biggest thing for him is just volume, like doing way more than I was. Like ad spend, he had me like 6x what I was spending on ads. Like, so like anybody could have just said that. It's not, but
Sure.
like it's just the fact that he said it.
Right.
It's not like some secret. It's just, what are you doing now? Okay, do way, way more of that.
Yeah.
Like more than you think.
Sometimes it takes like I've even said this about myself. Like I'll give advice to somebody that I think is like useful, and like I hear myself say it, but I hear it from the right person, and then finally it just like boom clicks.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit. Yeah, dude. I think that there is a lot of value to be taken from like getting the right mentor for sure. Just my problem is sometimes just figuring out who are the right people to listen to online, because everybody has these like the what's it called, the feedback, or when they always like post the messages from like clients that they've had or whatever, right? But I'm always like, what if that's fake? What if that's fake? But Alex definitely seems to be doing it the right way. I want to get into like, so you have these 3 endeavors that you're in now: the gym, Airbnb, trading. And with Alex's advice, go all in on one thing, and that's how you kind of like make your career, make your money. Where do you find like you kind of like have to make some sacrifices in one business, or where do you see like the ups and downs for things?
Yeah. I mean, with like pursuing trading and doing the Airbnbs, I'm sure if I had honed back in on doing gym stuff, I'd be farther along.
Yeah.
So is that what you mean in like regards to that, or just more like
So
life
like,
stuff?
well, I mean, yeah, I guess all of it. So like, do you see any like lack in one thing because you put more focus in another, or
Yeah.
is it all steady for you?
No, I always feel like something suffers, which, so I mean, like outside hobbies, jujitsu, trying to be in shape and like work out,
Yeah.
obviously, because I like should.
I feel like,
And,
you're
like I
always in
mean,
shape.
obviously, but so like that's like eating well. So like for me, it's like music, jujitsu, eating well, working out, and then business stuff. I feel like I can never get like all 5
Yeah.
in sync. And right now for me, like eating well, like I still work out every day, but they're pretty shitty workouts and like pretty short and
Really?
just like to the point.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm like in the worst shape I've been in like the last like 10 years. So like, but that's like something I'm like sacrificing right now.
Yeah.
That's like kind of lagged, I guess.
Yeah.
So I would, but the goal is like you get these other businesses in a place where you can delegate enough stuff out so that you put the work up front and then they're running on its own more or less. So I can go back to like focusing on that,
Do you have like a property manager that you have for the Airbnbs?
No, not right now. I've got a cleaning person, 2 cleaning people, like a handy person.
Yeah.
So I technically could have it all delegated out right now.
Yeah.
I'm doing some of the work. Well, I told you before, a couple of people, one of them is injured, the other one's on vacation.
Yeah.
And I don't mind doing some of the work right now. I kind of enjoy it. So, but realistically, it's not moving the needle forward in anything business wise.
Sure.
So it's not the best use of my time. So I'm trying to get it delegated out just because it doesn't make sense for me to do it.
Yeah. That makes sense. So for people who are like just starting out or like that want to do an entrepreneurial endeavor, like just kind of be their own boss in some sort of way, what do you think? Give your experience on like what were the things that like did you have to go through any like major pain points that kind of pushed you forward?
I think the biggest one is just being able to take the risk. Like you're always gonna have to put yourself in a hole to get yourself farther forward.
Sure.
So I think it's just like the pain of like what I was saying with this construction. So I just recently built out an attic that I'm going to do as another rental. And I know that's going to make me monthly profit every month, but it went way over cost. So I've got that like pain of like having this debt that I got to pay off. But as soon as I do, I'm like, good.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to put myself in that position where it's like a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit out of my budget, but I know I can figure it out.
Yeah.
And when I do, it's, I've got an extra couple $1,000 coming in every single month.
Yeah. Do you think you have to go through like some of those uncomfortable points to actually like get forward? Or do you think that things can always be smooth sailing?
There's if you have somebody that can provide capital for you.
Yeah.
So you can either have somebody give you money and have less returns, or you can grind it out to make your own money and have more returns later. So it's just how you want to do it.
Yeah.
Like, do you want less of the pie, but make that pie bigger up front? Or do you want more of it and take longer to bake? Wait, this analogy's falling apart.
Sure, no, I get what you're saying though. I guess like my question is really in like lessons learned. Do you think that like you need to go through like those pain points and those uncomfortable moments?
Yeah. You got to be okay with failing. It's just going to be impossible to not fail. Like nobody's going to do it perfectly. Yeah. You just have to be okay with taking action, failing right away, and then pivoting and then learning on that instead of trying to make everything perfect. It's just not going to, real life doesn't work that way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey dude, awesome. With that, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Okay. We kind of went through this in the beginning, but we'll just see where it goes. So number 1, what is like your biggest goal right now?
So with trading, I've got outside capital that I'm trading with for a firm. And right now I'm at...
What does that mean?
So people give me their money and then we split commission.
Oh shit.
So I've got my own account, my own money that I trade with, but I trade other people's money too. Yeah. So right now my funding is at $100,000.
Nice.
But I'd like to get it up to $1 million within like...
That means you get to trade $1 million?
Yeah. So I have $1 million in capital to trade.
Oh my God.
So by the end of, I'll say by like January, because that's like a good number. Yeah. I'd like to be funded $1 million.
Holy crap. Wait, that's $1 million of other people's money?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then I have my own on top of that too, but I don't have $1 million to trade with, unfortunately.
Not yet. In assets, you probably got damn near close.
Yeah, actually I do. I found out that my houses are worth over $1 million. Yeah. Yeah.
Sick. You're a millionaire.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. Have you said that out loud?
No. Hopefully the IRS isn't watching this.
Just kidding. That's going to be the intro clip now.
Yeah.
That'll drag people in.
No, I mean, so that's like, it's like stuck in stuff, but yeah, I could like potentially sell everything and be a millionaire.
That's fucking sick, dude. That's awesome. Congrats. I'm super happy for you. That's great. Wow. I was taken back by that. So I guess, and you can take this question how you want. You can rephrase it if you want. What sacrifices are you willing to make to get there, to that goal?
Risk. Yeah, I'm willing to risk both financially, whether that's investing in somebody that needs to show me the skill, to learn whatever I need to learn next, the time, there's a lot of time that I'm willing to spend my weekends back testing different strategies, where instead of doing stuff that other people consider fun, I enjoy doing that stuff because I know what it's going to get me in the future. Right. I'm lucky that I've got people in my life that are super supportive, but so early on I've had to make sacrifice with like friends, family, but I'm in a super good spot now where I've got all my friends family, relationships, like they're all super supportive. So thankfully that's like not something I need to sacrifice. It's already woven in
Yeah, that's
to what I'm
awesome.
doing.
That's great. What sacrifices are you not willing to make to accomplish it?
My health is
Yeah.
like the biggest thing. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Just my health is something that I'd never be willing to compromise for it.
That's good, dude. Actually, and I just have to ask you another question, to be honest, because I'm super curious myself. What is like your biggest motivator? Is it monetary, or is it like you have something inside of you that's telling you need to do these things, or like what is it?
I think freedom, being able to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I think initially it was like proving people wrong, which sounds like so stupid now, but like
Yeah, I don't think
like
so.
insecurities, I guess, if you like really dive into it, like not, I feel like I was like a late bloomer. Like while all my other friends were like graduating from college and making money, like I was like still like poor and like not doing anything. And just like,
Yeah.
like I really wanted to prove like to them, like old friends, like exes that like, but you know, it's like one of those things you look back at and you like realize like nobody like really cares.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah.
but that was like an initial like motivating factor. But now it's just like having the freedom and like helping other people. Like,
Yeah.
I just think it'd be super cool to like help out friends, like family, like take care of people. Like
Yeah.
I would like to, when my parents get to the age of retiring and they need to be in a nursing home, like I want to put them in a super cool spot where,
Yeah.
you know, they can shit their pants and be happy about it. So
And get the nice wipes for their
Yeah,
ass.
yeah.
Not the towels, the reusables.
yeah, I think like helping people and like traveling maybe, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's really cool, dude. I appreciate that. Well, hey man, I really appreciate you being on this and being my second person. I couldn't have like thought of a better person to have on the show, especially in the early stages. And thanks so much, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Like and subscribe. Hit that channel. Come to Commotion Fit. Stay in one of his Airbnbs.